Hey everybody, you're watching the very first episode of The Toy Show. I'm your host Mitch Live, and I collect action figures. And over the next few weeks, each episode is going to focus on a different one of my action figure collections. I'll tell you how that collection got started, I'll show you some of my favorite pieces, we'll do some unboxing, and add some fresh toys to the collection. And then at the end of each episode, the collection is going to find a new home on one of my many shelves. See, I moved just recently, and leading up to my move, I stopped opening my new toys because I knew I would just be boxing them back up again for the move. And of course, is what I ended up doing. I ended up boxing all of my toys, and now I'm settled into my new place, and I've got all this space to fill. I've got shelves upon shelves that are completely empty, just dying for toys. So throughout the series, you will see my collection grow and my shelves get filled up until it is restored to its former glory. And I can't wait. So let's jump right into it. Our first episode, I thought it was appropriate for the first episode to go with my very first toy collection. And in fact, this is one of my oldest toys ever. Today's episode is Batman, the animated series. So Batman, the animated series, for anybody that grew up in the 90s, was the best Batman TV show ever. It was based on the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman films. It features the Danny Elfman opening score, and of course Kevin Conroy, who is just iconic as the voice of Batman, and Mark Hamill, who is the voice of the Joker. That was the first time they ever took on those roles, and 25 years later, they're still voicing those characters. So the first figure we're going to look at here, this is obviously how the collection got started, was with, of course, Batman. Now, this is one of the rarest figures in this collection. You can see that this guy is not in very good condition. That is because this is the one that I got from my parents Christmas 1990 something, and so it's been around the block. I even at one point when I was a kid, I think, tried to color him in with a marker to make him even darker. Now this is from the Kenner toy line, and they make probably dozens if not 100 different variations of Batman, all wearing different costumes and with different accessories, but this one is the one that most accurately depicts the figure from the series, which is why he's the best Batman to have. And like I said, he was my first figure and definitely my favorite figure in the series. The Batmobile is just as old. I'm pretty sure I got them at the same time. The Batmobile is a little in better condition than Batman here. And just like Batman, there is also many variations of this Batmobile, mostly just kind of different colors, but this is the original, the one that looks most like the one in the show, and was the first one they made, and is of course the best one. So let's dig in, see what other figures of note that I have here. Oh yeah, this is a cool one. This one right here is from the very first animated Batman full-length movie. It was straight to VHS, because VHS was what we used to watch movies on. And this is, of course, the Phantasm, the Mask of the Phantasm. And I was so excited when that movie came out. I saw it advertised on YTV. I knew what date it was coming out. I begged my parents to take us to the video store, and when I was a kid, it did not disappoint. It delivered exactly what I wanted. And spoiler alert, you find out that the Phantasm is actually this woman. I forget what her name was, but she's introduced earlier on in the movie, and of course, we assumed that the supervillain was a guy, and oh no, it wasn't. The supervillain was a girl, and she kicked ass in that film, as far as I remember. Even the other villains were afraid of this particular villain. And also the Joker is featured very heavily. Speaking of the Joker, this is my Joker action figure from this series. For anyone who watched the series, you'll remember that the Joker actually wore a purple suit, not a blue suit. But this figure was my first Joker figure. I got him a few years later than Batman, so he's in slightly better condition here. But the one I got was blue, and I have an affinity for this character, having grown up with it. So even though I found the more original, accurate-looking purple one, meh, screw it, I've got mine already. Pretty much all the figures that I have now, I did have as a kid, except for a couple of them. This is one of my favorites, of course, Catwoman, very iconic in the series. Now, the thing about Kenner is not only did they make these figures from the animated series, but Kenner also made figures from the live-action movies. So here you can see the Michelle Pfeiffer depiction of Catwoman. You could tell because the more leather suit with the stitches, that is definitely right out of the Tim Burton Batman Returns. Okay, man, stand up, stand up. She doesn't really want to stand. And you could tell they basically used the same mold. Her legs are kind of opposite, her posture is different, but otherwise they pretty much took the same Catwoman and just made her look a little more like the movie Catwoman. And who else have we got here? Of course, we've got Robin, and I know his cape is here somewhere. Here we go. Oh no, that's Batman's cape. Oh, and anybody who grew up with these toys remembers these little capes with these little clips that just go back on the neck there. Those were the best capes. And now, let's unbox some brand new Batman Kenner figures that I haven't had the opportunity to add to my collection yet. Let's see here. So again, from the movie versions of Batman, we have the Riddler, and Two-Face, as portrayed by Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. They actually do look pretty good, I gotta say. I like them. They are still to scale, and they go very well with the rest of my collection, but they are definitely the movie versions. There's no doubt about that. If you look at both Two-Faces here, clearly they did a little better job with going back to the drawing board and making a new Two-Face instead of just trying to repurpose the old one like they did with Catwoman. But those are those guys. And of course, iconic villain Bane. I mean, you could almost say this is Bane from the animated series or the live action, because they did a really good job of making live action Bane kind of look like the comic and cartoon version. We've got Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul is, of course, an iconic Batman enemy. We've got Killer Croc, the sewer-dwelling, alligator-wrestling villain. Remember him from the show. And, of course, so this is one thing that Batman the Animated Series has as its credit, is they actually invented a character that was never in the comics, never in the franchise, and this character became so popular that they ended up running with this character, and she's one of the most popular Batman characters today, the one and only Harley Quinn. Well, all right, let's get cracking. Oh wait, but first, I need my tools. All right. This is the toy toolkit. This has everything I need to open some new toys. It has a little knife for those really hard to get plastic straps. It's got a bunch of different size little baggies for accessories, because the accessories pile up. I have bags and bags of accessories. A marker to label each bag. I used to not label each bag, and I started to lose track of whose was whose and what was what, so I just have to label everything. And then I have some things like I have some stands. Some of the figures just are stubborn and don't want to stand, so you got to make them. I've got some sticky tack. Sometimes I use sticky tack under their feet instead of a stand. And those are pretty much the essentials. All right, let's get cracking into some fresh plastic. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Harley Quinn doesn't seem to want to stand, and she doesn't have a hole in her foot for a toy stand. And this is exactly the type of scenario where we then go to sticky tack. I go to sticky tack because it doesn't hurt the toy, it doesn't stick to their feet. If you want to pull it off, you can get it all off. It only sticks just a little bit, just enough to get them to stay there. Okay, here are all our brand new Kenner Batman action figures. We've got Ra's al Ghul, the Riddler, Killer Croc, Bane, Harley Quinn, and of course Two-Face. And they've all got their accessories there. I guess Bane has this giant metal beam which he crushes and throws at Batman. Killer Croc, of course, has an alligator from the sewer. The Riddler here is holding his iconic Riddler staff. You may remember that from the movie. And of course, Harley Quinn has some totally iconic Joker / Harley weapons. We've got the shotgun that just says bang, and of course the giant glove. And let's see, it looks like something's engraved in here. H, Q, and J. Isn't that sweet? Harley Quinn and Joker. So there you have it. That is essentially my Batman collection, and it is time to go find them a new home on the shelf. Thanks to everybody for watching, and remember, you're never too old to play with toys. Quick Robin to the Batmobile. Holy freaking Fruit Loops, Batman!